against us going camping ever again. Well, to be honest, I was the one who wanted to call the police, as they figured that this one bad experience would never happen again. I personally believe that do him with the owl sounds while we're distracted to get us behind. I'm just so glad that someone decided to cut down those trees. Sometimes I wonder though, what would have happened if we'd actually decided to set up our tent there, and those figures decided to approach us. I haven't been camping since that incident, and I don't intend to do so.
Hey.
Yeah.
I need help.
On what?
On getting, what's it called? Let me check.
I was raised by my single mother, and I never had any form of contact or communication with my birth father or any of his family. Besides his mother, my paternal grandmother passed away in the early 2000s. This story took place when I was around 9 or 10, when I still lived with my mom and her now ex-husband. I was rather close friends with these two siblings named Lucia and Keegan. They lived several houses down from me.
Fuck.
For the record, we lived in a very trashy neighborhood in western New York. The area was severely crime-ridden until they built the new police station a few blocks
Okay, I need
over
control modules.
years ago.
Can you help me with that?
Before that, the early 2000s, I went over to go play at their house when Lucia introduced me to this new friend of hers. For the life of me, I can't even remember what her name was. So, for this story, we'll just refer to her as Anne. Everything was simple and nice, until Anne went home early to go grab something. We continued having fun, as it was a very nice summer day, when, about an hour later, Anne returned. She immediately approached me, grabbed my arm, which did freak me out, as I'm not very comfortable with people touching me, and out of nowhere said, "John wants to see you." Now, John was the brother of my birth father, and is registered as a child molester with a very well-known criminal history. My mom was very smart, and told me as early as age 4 who my uncle really was, and that I should stay away from him. I immediately booked it back to my house without even saying goodbye to my friends, locking the door behind me, and having what I now know was basically a panic attack, which was another problem I had as a child. After I had managed to calm
Invite me
down,
to your game.
I told my mother what happened.
Alright.
My mom wasn't even aware that John lived only a street over from where we lived at the time. This apparently coincided with another event entirely, and I only heard this recently from my mother, where John had tried to approach me directly in a grocery store. Of course, this happened when I was with my maternal grandfather, to which I had apparently screamed loudly at him and ran back to my grandfather's side. It turned out that Anne was the daughter of John's girlfriend at the time. I chose to never speak to her again as a result, avoiding her mainly, and the house where she had lived in, which suspiciously became vacant soon after. I always wonder whether his girlfriend knew what he was truly like. Even to this day, I have no idea what became of Anne, or that this sick fuck did to her what he was probably going to try to do to me. The last I ever heard of John was back in 2011, when he had robbed a woman who had actually been taking care of him, stealing her wallet and car. He went to prison for this. Since this event, I've long since cut all contact with my birth father and his entire family.
I'll tell you when I gotta do it.
Okay. Well.
Is that really a girl? Oh, what do you need help with?
This. I need to get some control modules. Much as I can.
Alright.
I need 3.
I'm gonna decline that. I wanna do something real quick and then we'll do that, alright?
Okay.
Get some salvage.
Okay. It's kind of easy to get.
Yeah, I don't know how much I need, but I'll just get a lot. Get like 16,000.
In the wee hours of the morning of August 4th, 1974, I just couldn't sleep. It was stifling hot outside under a full moon. I lay on my bed in our home in a very isolated rural area, reading a paperback book. We didn't have air conditioning in our house at the time, so I had my window up, and just a screen separated
You just kill people. If you find stuff on the ground, let me pick it
30
up.
feet from my bedroom window. The trees looked
Yeah,
like
you have to
black
get that. Get
silhouettes
that.
against the moonlit sky. It was about 3
Wait.
a.m. when I heard a car
Get
drive
the thing.
past our house.
I see what that name is. It says I like tits.
The neighbors were a
Yeah, it
widow
is.
lady whose home was located on the end of our driveway, and a single mother who lived on a farm back a long lane further up the road. I could hear the
Dude,
car
grab
stop
that.
at
It's
the
over
end of
there.
the
I
neighbor's
did.
farm lane. Two car doors were shut, and I became completely alert. I immediately shut off my bedroom light and went to the window where I watched the road. I saw two dark figures approaching our property line past the woods.
Oh, I found
My
it.
heart nearly stopped when these two men turned into our yard and started approaching the side of the house where my bedroom window was located, as well as our telephone wires. In those days, with no cell phones, we were completely at the mercy of our landline phones. If someone cut our wires, we were cut off from the world. I proceeded to quietly creep across the hall to my parents' bedroom. I awakened my mother and told her about the two men outside. As soon as she got up, our telephone rang, alerting my father. As my father took the call, my mother went to the bedroom window to look outside. She looked towards the road and saw nobody there. But then she looked straight ahead and she saw two men standing at the side of the window, looking up at our telephone wires. One man was wearing a light-colored t-shirt, and the other had a light-colored short-sleeved shirt, which was unbuttoned in the front. One of the men was holding a cigarette, which helped to illuminate him in the dark. My mother then turned away and quietly went to summon my father. Apparently, my father's phone call had been from the police. They said that two men fitting the very description of the men outside our home had just attempted to break into our service station, which was about 4 miles away. A police officer had turned his cruiser into the service station parking lot and saw the two men running away from the building. The officer's guard dog followed the men as they quickly deserted the area and made their way to the back road behind the station. That road led them right to our house. Obviously, these men knew a lot more about us than we knew about them. They had to have known about the service station and the connection between us and it. They knew where we lived, and they even knew where our phone wires were outside of the house. I believe that they knew they would be seen by the police, and that my father would be called away from the house due to their attempted break-in there. If my father had been lured away, my mother, sister, and I would have been alone in that house in a wooded rural area where nobody could hear us scream. At realizing this, I had never been so scared in my entire life. The police were alerted to come to my house. My
They were gonna
father
rape
got a
him.
gun, and the men were frightened away. This story gets even stranger when you get to the part where one of the police officers responding to the call was involved in a car accident that needed our towing service. My father and the police talked at our home while another employee towed the police cruiser that had been in the accident. I can remember sitting with my back against the wall in my parents' bedroom until I saw the sun start to come up and the sky turning pink in the east. I would like to say that this incident was put away in my mind and that things were the same after it had happened, but they weren't. I could never sleep without having a guard dog there at our home. My father had air conditioning installed in our home soon after, and also obtained a permit to legally carry a handgun. Our entire family was more aware of the dangers that lurked in our neighborhood, in anyone's neighborhood. Even in 1974, as I grew older, learned a lot more about criminal behavior and true crime. I also learned about Ted Bundy and how during that same summer of 1974, he had been terrorizing the Northwest, leaving behind a trail of murdered girls who were just like me for having long brown hair, parted in the middle, and being college girls. I don't believe that Ted Bundy was outside our home on that night, but I do believe that it was someone capable of doing horrific things. Today, I'm a 59-year-old woman. I've been married for 33 years. I have a 24-year-old daughter. I often think back to that night and wonder what if? What if I had been sleeping that night? What if those men had gotten into our house after cutting our phone wires? What if I had died that night at the hands of these men? What if I had never become a victim of these men? It could have been worse, but I still feel that I am a victim. The positive thing that came from being a victim was that I learned all I could about criminal behavior, criminal justice, and crime prevention. And I even improved our neighborhood watch program during my adult years. I obtained a position in law enforcement and worked with sex offenders for a local sheriff's office for a time. I like to believe that I'm more alert and that perhaps some of my actions that gave us a result that night might have at least helped another person.
Hey dude, do you got it?
This story didn't happen to me, but it did happen to my mom before I was born. This happened in the early 90s. My parents were in their early 20s. They had gone fishing at a popular spot not far from our house. After they got their poles ready and began to fish, my dad walked away from my mom so their fishing lines wouldn't get tangled. From where my mom was standing, my dad could not see her, and she couldn't see him. A couple of hours went by when, all of a sudden, this orange van pulled up. The driver stayed in the van for about 10 minutes, looking down the whole time at something in his lap, before deciding to get out and approach my mother. The man was tall and slim with curly black hair. He had glasses and was
Ruffboy!
jumpsuit. One of his boots had a higher heel than the other, indicating that one of his legs was shorter. He also appeared to be walking with a limp. He slowly walked up to my mother and said, "Catch anything yet?" My mom replied with, "No, not yet." At this point, she was a little creeped out, and then he asked if she was fishing alone. This is when she began to panic. In her mind, she was trying to figure out what she would have done if he tried to grab her. All she could figure was that she could try to hit him in the head with her fishing pole. Probably not the best option, but it's all she had on her at the time. My mother tried to compose herself and then replied with, "No, I'm fishing with my husband. He's fishing over there down that hill." "Oh," he replies. He then told her that he wasn't from around here and that he had just moved from up north. He said he bought the van in hopes that people would carpool with him. Not surprisingly, he asked that so far, no one wanted to ride with him. He said this in a very angry tone, and at this point, my mom could tell that this man wasn't right in the head. He continued to talk about himself for a few more minutes. My mom can't specifically remember exactly what he said since it's been so long, but about after 5 minutes of talking to him, my dad walked back up the hill. When this guy saw my dad, he immediately booked into his van, got in, and sped off. My mom could never figure out what the man's intentions were, which makes this story much creepier, but thankfully, she never saw him again. I really do hate to think about it, but if my mom had been alone that day, she could be dead, and I would have never been born.
Wait, why would she only be dead? She might have got raped.
Why were you not even playing? Huh? Why were you not playing? Oh, it's fine. Just ignore me.
I don't know.
Totally fine, ruffboy. Totally fine. Just keep ignoring me.
I'm just thinking.
I'm thinking, why didn't you respawn? We could have been done with this mission. Are you still on Warframe?
Yeah.
Are you still in my game?
Yeah. I just respawned. Coming over there.
What?
Oh, I didn't. I just didn't want to spend it because I need that to level up.
Does this guy have Frost Prime?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
I set up a shield thing, but it's failing. Really? Yeah. He's definitely a Frost Prime. I need to get better
Yeah, I'm
armor.
gonna try and get Frost Prime.
Wait, I just realized something. I can take my shield like a riot shield. I can use it like that. I don't even know why I'm playing this game.
Alright, I'll be right back.
About to get away.
And I'm back.
How are you gone if you're playing?
My girlfriend was playing. Give me a minute. My girlfriend was playing.
Okay.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Just to tell you,
I have to leave again.
can I tell you
Yeah,
something?
but this time my girlfriend's not gonna play. What? What?
Wait.